think we're good. Trying to set these cameras up. Peace, peace. Yeah, man. So I'm out here. I um I felt like I don't even know how do I start this. Captain's log, start date 050926. Contemplating today, and this is what I came up with. Ha! Let's see if that works for an intro. So the question is time an illusion? It's not. It's a sacred, intrinsic part of this third density incarnation existence that we chose. I don't even know how to start this really. I don't know if I want to keep holding this the whole time. Peace and welcome back again. I was doing a little philosophizing this morning, and I had a stream of consciousness come through that literally sparked very randomly just off of something that a friend said a while ago. And yeah, also super loud where I am, so I don't know how this sounds. I have the noise canceling on the mic, but I don't know if that sounds good or not. Whoa, excuse me. Get out of here. I'm trying to squish nobody. So, so a while ago, a friend of mine had said something that like really stuck with me. She had said that time is an illusion, and no, it stuck with me because it never really felt right, never sat well with me. And I've kept it just in my awareness for a while, just trying to answer it in different ways. Like throughout life, throughout I've been going through this experience, I've just been adding more and more to it. And I don't know, something sparked today. I don't know. Last night I was watching The Boys, and spoiler alert, it was just talk about immortality. You know, if you know what the show is, it was talk about immortality, and somebody had denied immortality because they said it was a curse. So that was in my awareness as well, and maybe that triggered something. But yeah, it was just like on this, and I took a bunch of notes. I did some journaling this morning, and that's pretty much what started this whole thing. So I think like one of the reasons why it never really sat well with me was because to start everything, like being a science-based individual that I am, and being physics-based, in physics, it's literally called space-time. Like when we ask, what time is it? What we mean is what space-time is it? Because time can't exist without space, and space can't exist without time. So any iteration of it, like that's literally what we mean. We just don't ever say, hey, what space-time is it, you know? I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson say something like, he gave a really good example of it, and it was like, if you ask somebody to meet somewhere, you know, you say, meet me at the mall, you know, that's the X and Y. But then we also have to give a time. I can't just say meet me at the mall. Like when? You know? 4 o'clock. That's the extra dimension that's added to it. If I say meet me at 4 o'clock, there's the where. So like space and time, they exist together. So that's why like one of the reasons why like time is an illusion never really sat well with me. For a while I was like, time is an illusion. It's a measurement, you know? We use it as a measurement. But as I'm going through more spirituality and understanding more and learning more, I see that it's more than even a measurement. This is what I have wrote. Right. It's oh, look at you. I haven't seen you before. I've come to understand that it's an intrinsic property of this third density existence that we chose to incarnate in and experience. Going a bit deeper with that, I guess I had constructed that. Here's what I had wrote. Time isn't an illusion. Instead, it's both the currency and a driver for experience. It's what makes this incarnation sacred. It makes death palatable as it marks the finish line. It marks a finite end to the ability to experience here. So that's where I've landed with what time actually is. So I see it as both the currency and a driver. Because we have such finite time, we want to utilize that time as best that we can. And so it acts as a driver, not the driver, a driver for us to experience, knowing that, okay, I'm not going to be here forever, then I got to take that trip. I got to try that thing. I got to start that business, or, do that thing that I love, do that act of creativity that I love, whatever that looks like for you. It's a driver. So partially it's a driver, and partially it's a currency as well, because we spend it or share it however we want to. So if you're watching this right now, you're choosing to share your time here with me, listening to what I'm saying. You could see it as spending it too, because we don't get it back. So that's where time is kind of a currency as well. It's a trade-off, and for whatever the experience is. So even if it's at work, you're trading your time for a different currency that we use in the physical realm. You can see time as metaphysical currency. Yeah. And so around this and around like the immortality thing, I started to think about like, why do we fear death so much, as humans? And I think a part of that goes into what I was talking about earlier about the experience, about being a driver for the experience. We forget that we're here to experience because of, daily life programming, indoctrination, conditioning, whatever you want to call it. We forget that we're here to experience different shit. We get so wrapped up in just surviving that we forget about experiencing. And so in that, it's like a veil is thrown over our eyes so that we forget. We don't realize that, like, oh yeah, okay, I don't really need to put all my energy into this one thing. What I should be putting my energy into is experiencing new things, because I came here to experience. And so looking at that a bit more, especially around the death aspect, why do we fear death so much? So one, because we forget that aspect of experiencing, right? Another reason is the selfish aspect, right? When we lose somebody, it's that we aren't actually going to be with that person anymore. Maybe a part of it is that they won't get to continue doing things that they get to do here, or we're doing here. But a large part of it is that we don't have access anymore, and that makes us feel like shit. Right. And then this sent me down another hole, because in the Expanse novels, there's a part where Holden reflects on one of his ex-girlfriends who was a Buddhist monk, and she had said, it was around death, she had said that humans don't really fear death. What they fear is the transition, the unknown that lay behind the transition. She said that life and death is just a different state of being. And so what humans actually fear is that the unknown behind that transition from one state of being to the other state of being. And that resonated with me because, yeah, like humans are afraid of the unknown so much, And so it also it sparked something else that made a lot of sense to me in Bodhidharma's teachings, something that he had said that was really like, it was lost on me for a while until just now. So earlier today when I was reflecting on this, is that he says that there's no distinction between life and death. And that, I couldn't wrap my head around that for so long, because it's like, how's there no distinction? Until I realized that when he speaks, he's speaking from the Dharma, from the heart, or the mind, or the consciousness, the spirit, the soul, the awareness. In that aspect, the awareness doesn't know life or death. It has no distinction between the two. We're awareness inside this body or outside this body. In this incarnation or outside this incarnation, we're awareness. So it knows no distinction between life or death. And on pondering all this, it clicked and made so much sense that, okay, I'm starting to understand Bodhidharma a lot more, which is really dope. But yeah, that was something that really stuck out. And it was just so interesting that all this came from just like trying to understand time a bit more, trying to make sense of like so many sayings and buzzwords and stuff that we have, but also just what this aspect is of this thing that we don't fully understand. We know we all experience it. Like time isn't just a construct that we created. It is intrinsic. We can see it in if you pierce an apple, the oxygenation process that happens when it gets brown, you know. That is the visual representation of time. Time taking its toll. It moving through space time to expire, get moldy, and whatnot. And that is why this life is so sacred. You know, because there is a finish line, because it ends, that there actually is reason to do so many things because it ends, you know? You know, looked at death as something sacred as well, as something that's very important because it does mark the finish line. It marks the end of, like I said, it marks the end of the ability to experience. And I've written something else. Oh, yeah. Another reason for the fear of death is the lack of control around it. The end of the experience can happen anytime. The fierce loyalty to ego fears this, as it creates distinction between life and death, control and surrender. That was profound for me because that really showed me that like it's so much of our misery is ego, is the fierce loyalty to personal identity that we have, and us focusing so much on ego that creates distinction. That distinction is what brings us suffering. So I was contemplating a bit more on the Buddhist teachings that life is suffering. And I never really agreed with that, but I'm starting to understand that more. That, yeah, life is suffering. The more we go through life, the more distinctions we add to things. In those distinctions, that's where the suffering lies because we're seeing a separation of things. The more we start to see less distinctions between the things, the freer we become. And having that fierce loyalty to personal identity, that fierce loyalty to ego, especially around the distinction of control and surrender, especially when it comes to death. As much as it is a finish line, it's a finish line we don't get to see. We don't get to prepare for when it comes. It can happen at any time. And that lack of control is what our ego hates. Our ego fears that. But again, that's just the distinction. That lack of control or surrender is just a distinction that we add to it. And seeing it from that point of view of it being a distinction, for me, it frees me. It frees me from being afraid of the finish line, being afraid to experience, being afraid to do things like this. I have two cameras and everyone that goes by is staring at me. A year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that would freak the hell out of me. I could never do this because I had fear. I had a fierce loyalty to personal identity and ego and what people thought. And the control around what people thought. That's another huge thing. You know, perception. We want to control the perception so bad that it forces us to not do things that, even if it makes us happy, we won't do the thing. Even if we can find it freeing or exciting, we might not do the thing because of how we'd be perceived. It's interesting, man. And I love these kind of rabbit holes, not rabbit holes, but these paths or these streams of consciousness that come through. Like literally just from remembering my friends say time is an illusion. It sparked this whole thing, this whole thought process. on me just trying to understand it a bit more. And I hope in time I'll reflect on this and come back to it and I'll have more to add to it. I don't know. And that's kind of why I want to do these videos, because I want them to exist as like video journals that will live online. I'm dealing with a lot of space issues right now, like on my hard drives. You know, I have so much content that like I don't know what to do with a lot of them. So I'm trying to film a lot, upload a lot, so it can at least exist on the internet or on the cloud, and I can go back to it and just like, you know, reflect on the video journal aspect of it. I always forget to open this shit with okay, let me do it now. Let me try to edit it in. Date. I'm just trying shit, man. What did I even got something complicated? Yeah, man. I don't know. I felt an urge to do this as there's no electricity in my apartment. They're doing some work, so it's forced out. Not really forced out. I could have stayed in. I just don't have AC or anything. Okay. Electricity to work on any of the content, but I went to the coffee shop just to see what struck. You know, I had brought my laptop. I had brought my ROG Ally to play some games. But I ended up sitting and thinking, and this thought sparked, and it just sent me down. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think that's it. Wanted to sit and see if anything came back to me, but I think that stream of consciousness is done, so it's all good. Yeah, thank you for listening. And thank you for applying today's bomb. Peace. Shalom. Salam. Live long and prosper. Lap.